news. It is May 20th, 2026, and Barcelona have secured a new sponsorship deal that I'm going to tell you all about. Also, Barcelona now willing to sign Marcus Rashford for 30 mil. And finally, the reason why Barcelona are now pulling out of the Bastoni deal. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. Welcome to the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments and reacting to them live. So start filling out the chat section with your comments, your questions, anything you want to share with all of us. Now, for those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All this helps the channel continue to grow. Don't you want the channel continue to grow? Come on, help a brother out. Now, if you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys, merchandise, or merchandise from any other football team in the world, you can hit the Kid Bag. And if you're looking for merchandise from any sports that's not football, you can hit the Fanatics. All links down below in the description and click on them. You get access to some pretty cool deals and offers that otherwise, well, you wouldn't get access to if you didn't use those links. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity. Started with a quick 1-1 rule update. I know, you guys are probably getting sick and tired of me talking about the 1-1. In fact, we talked about it last Monday. Was part of last Monday's podcast. I went into kind of like a deep dive of what the 1-1 rule means. So if you want a recap of that, if you don't remember, or if you didn't see that episode, or you still have questions about what the 1-1 is, go just rewatch that section of the podcast. I explained it as well as I could. I don't want to waste more time on it, but 1-1 rule, we haven't been under it for quite some time. In fact, right now, Barcelona can only use 60% of a departing player's salary. So if a player's salary is 100 million, let's say 10 million, and they leave, we can only use 6 million out of those 10 to register another player. As you can see, that can create inconveniences, and we can only use 20% of any transfer income. So if we sell a player for 100 million, can only use 20 million to sign a new player. The other 80 we would have to save. So you can see how this complicates signing players and register them, right? Because after all, this is the whole purpose of the financial fair play, to make it difficult for clubs who are having financial problems to sign and register players. That way, to discourage them from spending their money and eventually going bankrupt and disappearing. But we've been talking about the 1-1 rule a lot lately because, of course, Barcelona have been confident for quite some time that this summer we will reach the 1-1 rule for the first time in 5 years, right? We haven't been under the 1-1 rule in 5 years, which means for the last 5 years, we've had incredible difficulty to signing and registering players. I mean, we've seen it, right? But now, a new update is that Barcelona now have assurances from La Liga. Now, La Liga have not made this official because, of course, the fiscal year closes on June 30th. That's when all the clubs will turn over their financial paperwork to La Liga. La Liga will review it, and then they will issue the new financial fair play restrictions for next season for every single club. But so far, based on the paperwork that Barcelona have submitted so far to La Liga have assured Barcelona that it's looking good, that they too believe that Barcelona will be under the 1-1 rule. Now, this is, of course, different because for the longest time, it was Barcelona who was feeling confident, right? We're going to reach it. But now, that confidence is also coming from La Liga. And that, of course, changes things, right? Because I can feel confident that, I don't know, that I can, get a reservation at a restaurant. I mean, I can get it. It's a 5 Michelin star restaurant. I know I can get it. But it's different than the restaurant actually telling me, yes, you can, right? Let's put it that way. Terrible example. Can't think of a better one. But, you know what I mean. Now, why is La Liga now feeling confident, just like Barcelona, that Barcelona will for sure achieve the 1-1 rule this summer? Well, several reasons. Number one, Spotify Camp Nou. The Camp Nou is finally reopened. We're back at the Camp Nou. The first two rings are fully open. Stadium has 62,000 people capacity. And next season, part of the third ring, the lateral side of the third ring, will also open. So now with the two rings open, we're already making a lot more money. Once we open that lateral side of the third ring, well, even more money. Now, once the Camp Nou is at full capacity, it's expected that it will generate 350 million euros per season. Obviously, right now, it's not at full capacity, and it's expected that the Camp Nou could generate 83 million euros next season. Huge increase in Barcelona's profits. Another reason why La Liga are feeling confident that Barcelona could achieve the 1-1 rule is, of course, as I told you before, the auditor has accepted the 71 million euros from the VIP seats deal, right? Barcelona sold rights to some VIP seats at the Spotify Camp Nou in exchange for 100 million euros. Barcelona have received so far 71 million from those 100. Initially, the auditor that Barcelona hired said, you cannot count that as income. The stadium is not built. The seats are not built. Those are not active assets. And as such, you cannot count it. So La Liga said, well, your own auditor is saying you can't count it. Sorry, we're not going to count it either. You can't reach the 1-1. Now, the stadium is built. Well, not fully, but you know what I mean. It's reopened. The seats are there. The seats are being used. So the auditor now, Barcelona's auditor, has said, all right, you can count the money that you've received. So far, Barcelona have received 71 million. So that, of course, will count as income. 71 million euros of income for this fiscal year. Now, we are due to receive the other 29 million euros before June 30th. That will also count because, again, the seats are built. And, of course, the improvement in the finances of Barcelona, such as the consistent sponsorship deals that Barcelona continue to sign, increase in merchandising. Yesterday, I told you about how Barcelona have achieved, I think they're going to exceed the 200 million euros in revenue from merchandising. The fact that Barcelona have reduced their wage bill. Their wage bill is going to be reduced even further now with the departure of Lewandowski, who is going to clear up 24 million euros. So all these combined have not only made Barcelona confident that they're going to achieve the 1-1 rule this summer, but also La Liga are telling them, we feel confident too, pending, of course, the final financial paperwork that will be submitted on June 30th. Now, of course, this is huge, huge news, even though it might not seem to because we've talked about this so much, but it's huge because, again, before, or right now, I should say, we can only use 60% of a departing player's salary. Only 20% of the money we made off a transfer. That's crazy. But once we achieve the 1-1 rule, we'll be able to use the entire money of a transfer. If we sell a player for 100 mil, we can use the full 100 mil to go sign someone else instead of 20. You see how that restriction makes things so difficult? Because can you imagine selling a player for 100 and only being able to use 20? I mean, to sell a player for 100, that means you're selling a world-class player. And to go be able to sign someone for 20 in his place, that means you're signing not a world-class player, either someone who's very young and still doesn't have experience, or maybe someone who's very old and towards the end of their career, or someone that just sucks, right? So you can see how once we achieve the 1-1 rule, well, it's going to make life a lot easier to sign and register players. And that, of course, is huge because right now, we have a strong core of players. They are dominating Spain without any major signings. Can you imagine once we can add a few major signings to that? We'll be unstoppable. Now, speaking of Barcelona's finances and speaking of sponsorships, because I did mention that, right? One of the reasons why La Liga feel confident is that Barcelona have been increasing their sponsorships, their revenue through sponsorships. And while Barcelona have announced that they have secured another sponsorship deal, this one in the United Arab Emirates, and it's a sponsorship deal or a partnership with the Emirates Islamic Bank. Al Imarat Al Islamiyya. Now, that is a leading bank in the region. And this partnership will consist of how the Emirates will, the Emirates Bank, the Emirates Islamic Bank, will have a special Barcelona card, cashback card that Barcelona fans in the Emirates could use. They'll get rewards for using it, access to benefits, and in exchange for this bank being able to use, the Barcelona emblem and colors on this credit card, of course, they pay Barcelona an amount of money. We don't know how much the sponsorship is for, but it is yet another sponsorship that Barcelona have secured. And what's good about this sponsorship as well, not only will Barcelona receive money from this bank for the sponsorship, but there are 1.7 million fans, Barca fans in the UAE, and this is a way to reach those fans, right? And reaching fans, of course, means that you can make money other ways, right? Those fans buying your merchandise, going to the stadium, etc., etc., etc. Now, Barcelona have issued an official statement in regards to this new sponsorship, stating the following is, of course, only a portion of the statement. This is not the full statement. But this explains what this product will be that the Emirates Islamic Bank will launch. Designed for a young fan base, the Emirates Islamic Barca cashback card is aimed at the approximately 1.7 million Barca supporters in the UAE, who represent more than 20% of the country's total population, making Barca one of the most loved sports club. A fifth of the population of the UAE are Barca fans, and that's crazy, by the way. And this is one way to reach those fans, and of course, another way to continue to increase our revenue through sponsorship deals. Which, like I've said before, this board of directors under John Laporta has been an absolute sponsorship signing machine. And another thing this proves is that, well, the Barcelona brand, ladies and gentlemen, is alive and well. People want to do business with us. People want to sign partnership with us. People want to throw their money at us, be like, here, take it. And this, of course, is very, very important. Now, the last bit of news is an update in regards to Fermin Lopez, who, as you know by now, was subbed out of the Real Betis match due to injury. After undergoing exams, it was revealed that Lamine Yamal had suffered a fracture to his foot, the fifth metatarsal. That's kind of like, all right, here's your foot, right? Here's your pinky toe. The metatarsal is the base of that finger, right? It's where it connects to your ankle, kind of. Anyways, he suffered a fracture, and of course, the recommendation was for him to undergo surgery in order to address this injury. And well, the news is that Fermin has undergone surgery successfully. And in fact, the club posted the following statement. First team player Fermin Lopez underwent a successful operation of the fifth metatarsal fracture on his right foot. Dr. Antoni Dalmau performed the operation at Hospital de Barcelona, which was supervised by the club's medical services. His evolution will determine the recovery time. So Fermin has undergone surgery. The surgery was successful. Of course, the statement doesn't specify a time for his return, but reports are stating that approximately 3 months. Some were saying 2. Either way, whether 2 or 3, of course, this means that Fermin Lopez will miss the World Cup, which is absolutely devastating because there's anyone that deserves to go to this World Cup is Fermin after the incredible season that he's had. He was part of the preliminary list, and it was expected that he would be part of the final list. But unfortunately, this fracture has, mean the end of the World Cup for for Fermin Lopez, which, again, absolutely sad news. But Fermin Lopez is still young. He's an incredibly amazing player, and I'm sure he's going to get to play many, many more World Cups. So I wish Fermin Lopez a speedy recovery, and I hope that he can maintain high spirits because I can only imagine how difficult this is for him. All right, let's start with the comment section, and then we'll talk about Marcus Rashford because Barcelona now willing to sign him. Barca Got Culture says, waiting for this all day. Me too. Like I've said before, I love podcast days because I get to read you guys' comments, react to them live. Podcast days are my favorite. So I've been looking forward to it as well. And my man Klaus is an OG of the channel. If you guys don't know, but Klaus says UAE deal. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We went over it, of course. I'm sure you just saw that. But yes, it's always good to see you in the chat section, Klaus. And Mal Swansky says, how do you like your money served? I like mine bloody. Huh? You talking about the UAE deal? Or I don't get it. Anyways. The Jeff says, Deco is a joke of a sporting director. I thought he'll surprise me for good. But here we are. Man. Deco's been a mixed bag for me. Some things he's done well. Some things is like, bro, what are we doing? Right? Juan Garcia for 25 mil. Obviously, total win. A lot of these youngsters we signed over the winter transfer market, total win. Other things like Pito Roque, what are we doing? Renewing Christensen when he's been injured for 2 seasons. What are we doing? Signing Olmo when we needed a left winger. What are we doing? But anyways, Joe Alloy says, big up Mo. Any update on the 1-1 rule? Oh yeah, just did it. Just gave it. So bam. Saw news with La Liga updating Barca that they're back in the 1-1. Not officially, but we're there. P4K Chema says, what's up, Mo? We should look into Darwin Nunez. Oh, God, no. Situation. I think he's leaving for free or even 15 mil since Al Hilal have Benzema. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe like Suarez 2.0 from Uruguay and Liverpool. I mean, there is a reason why Darwin is going through what he's going. I want to see his market value real quick. All right, so Darwin obviously got signed by Al Hilal at 25 years old. That's your prime years. If you're playing your prime years, if the only club that wants you in your prime years is a Saudi club, that's a problem. And now he might leave Al Hilal. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but if he is, well, you can see why. No, I think Darwin Nunez is a total flop. I think he was great at Benfica, but ever since he moved to Almeria, he's been an absolute disappointment. Almeria, what am I talking about? To Liverpool, he's been a total disappointment, which tells me, he was probably never that good. He was probably always a lower tier club player, either mid-table team or in the case of Benfica, they're not a mid-table team. They're a top team, but of a lower league, right? And we see this all the time, right? We see these players absolutely kill it in some mid-table team, or they kill it at some smaller league like the Portuguese league or maybe the Dutch league. And you think, wow, this guy is amazing. Look at him killing it. And then they transfer over to a big club in a big league, and all of a sudden they flop. And it's because that level of talent is way above what they can offer, or the required talent is above what they can offer. It's plenty for where they were, but not enough to where they moved to. And we see this all the time. And I think that's exactly what happened with what's his face? Darwin Nunez. So no, I would not want to touch Darwin Nunez with a 6-foot pole. Let's see. Tat Matt says, hi Mo, how you doing? Watching from New Zealand. Oh, all right. New Zealand. Let's fucking go. I love it. Thank you for watching, my friend. Thank you for watching. And McCoy says, Mo, do you think Rashford deserves another stint at Barca? I think 30 mil is way too much. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. And Nathan says, hi, Mo, I thought Barca was about to save 60 to 70 from the Bastoni deal and focus on a center forward and a left winger. They better not buy Rashford. I'll talk about that again. We're talking about Bastoni and we're going to talk about Rashford, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But MFA Scully says, Robert, Ter Stegen, and Christensen leaving would free up a lot of space on the wage bill for new players to come. Well, obviously, Lewy is leaving. He's already announced it, so that's 24 mil off our wage bill. Ter Stegen doesn't look like he will. He wants to stay. Of course, I've explained multiple times why. He got divorced from his wife. He shares custody with the kids. So him leaving means him being away from his kids, and he doesn't want that, right? Because, if he was married, he could go anywhere, right? Because he would just move with the wife and the kids. But now They divorced. His ex-wife is not gonna follow him to another country so he can be with his kids, right? So, and as far as Christensen, well, Barcelona are actually in advanced talks to renew him. Why? It's beyond me. Why would we need a center back who's been injured for the last 2 seasons? Again, beyond me. And Mick Barca, who's also an OG of the channel, says see to believe about 1-1 for last time. They said Messi's okay to join Barca. See to believe. Well, apparently from what, the testimony that keeps coming out, it looks like Barca were okay to sign Messi, and then Laporta decided to inflate the losses so him and his buddies can get their bond back. And that's when La Liga was like, all right, now you can't sign Messi. Let's not forget that, people. Let's not forget that. All right, let's move on to the next bit of news because we do have to talk about Marcus Rashford. That's the wrong slide. There we go. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have now decided that, yes, they are willing to sign Rashford. And not only that, they're even willing to pay the 30 million euros, which is stipulated in his contract as an option to buy. Now, originally, Barcelona had decided that they didn't want to sign Rashford because he hadn't convinced enough, especially when Rafinha got injured. Rashford didn't really step up. Instead, Flick even ended up using people like Fermin and Dani Olmo and even Gabi sometimes as left winger. But now, Barcelona have decided to sign him. Now, Barcelona is still going to try to request a second loan with an option to buy that's lower than the current one. But most likely, Man U is going to say F off, right? Man U have been pretty steadfast about you either pay the 30 mil or go kick rocks. And in the case Barcelona cannot get authorization or approval, from Man U to secure the for a second loan, then Barcelona are going to try to negotiate a payment plan where Barcelona would pay the 30 mil, but it would be in 3 payments. So 10 million over 3 years for a total of 30. Now, Rashford has told the club that he wants to stay and that he's even willing to lower his salary because his current salary is 20 million euros per season. Nowhere close to what he's actually worth or what you actually get out of him in performance. So he is willing to lower his salary. So this combined, the willingness of Rashford staying, or his willingness to reduce his salary, and the fact that Flick is okay with him staying, Barcelona are now willing to sign him. Now, my opinion remains the same. I don't think Rashford has done enough for me to want to sign him. I mean, has he had moments of brilliance? Yes, he's had those. Has he had moments where he scored some amazing goals? Yes. Has he had moments where he turned the outcome of the match single-handedly? Yes. But not enough for me to say this is a signing we need to invest the very little money that we have in. Right? Right now, we should be looking at players that can make a difference consistently, not every now and then. Now we need to be invested in players that can be brilliant most of the time, not every now and then. And Rashford is a now and then player, not a consistent player. And for that, well, we have other players like that. We have Ferran Torres, right? He's pretty inconsistent too. Why not keep him? Hell, we have Fermin who can do a better job in the left wing, even though he's not a left winger. Even Olmo has done a better job in the left wing, and also Olmo is not a left winger. So if we're going to commit 30 million out of the very little money that we have, it needs to be on someone who's consistent. You can't find anyone? That's fine. Again, we have options. We have Fermin, we have Olmo. Let's look at the academy. What do we have there? But that's the decision Barcelona have made. I think it's a mistake because here's why. If Rashford is willing to lower his salary, that means it's going to be a long contract because players never actually lower their salary. Players say they're going to lower their salary, and they do end up getting a lower salary, but that means a longer contract. It's always like that. It's just how modern football works, right? Hey, my salary is 10 million a year. You're gonna sign me for 3 years. That's 30 mil. Oh, I'll reduce my salary. Okay, I'll reduce it to 8. But now you have to sign me for 5 years. It always ends up like that. So Rashford reducing it from 20 mil, it just means he's gonna get a longer contract. It's just all that's how it works. The players always end up getting their money. Whether it's in shorter period or longer period, they always end up getting their package. Sounds a little sexual, but it's not. Their total compensation package. They always end up getting it. And what's my problem with a long contract? Well, my problem is that we're going to be stuck with an inconsistent player for many years. And I promise you, in 2 seasons, we're going to be back at the same place as we always are because we always do this stupid shit, right? Like when we signed Ter Stegen for all these years, and now we're like, fuck, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I promise you in 2 seasons, we're going to be in the same spot. What are we going to do with Rashford? What are we going to do with Rashford? Oh, contract rescission. Oh, we got to push him out. Oh, we got to freeze him out. Oh, how do we get rid of this guy? Because we do this all the fucking time. And here's the thing about a 29-year-old Rashford who heavily depends on his speed to beat his opponents. His speed disappears quickly as you age. That's why players who heavily rely on their speed don't have that very long careers. Other players, like maybe players who more rely on their ability, their technical skill, those players last longer. That's why Messi's 38 and still playing. He doesn't have speed anymore, right? Just like any other 38-year-old. Guess what? He doesn't need it because he can move the ball quickly without having to be fast. People forget Messi was pretty fast in his prime. But a player who mostly uses his speed, like Rashford, that's going to decline quickly. And if he gets a long contract, 5 years, it means we're going to have him until 34. At 31, we're going to be thinking, what are we going to do with this guy? Let's get rid of this guy. How do we get rid of this guy? Oh, wait, he has a contract. Oh, wait, he lives in Barcelona, so he doesn't give 2 shits. He loves the food, he loves the weather, he loves the beach, so he's willing to sit on the bench until his contract is over as long as we pay him. And that's what I foresee is going to happen. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Rashford all of a sudden starts performing amazingly, but there's no reason for me to think that. He hasn't done so at Man U. I don't think he did this season at Barca. What reason do I have to think that all of a sudden that's going to change? Also, even if you think Rashford is amazing, because there are people out there, a lot of people out there who think Rashford's performance was amazing this season, because unfortunately, after so many years of being stuck in mediocrity with mediocre players, we have a lot of fans who got used to that mediocrity. So now mediocrity to them looks amazing, right? They forgot about the years where we had some of the best players. Now every little thing, every little shiny thing impresses them. Like, oh, like when he used to tell me, oh, Mo, Rafinha scored 10 goals. Like that was supposed to fucking impress me, right? Even if you think he's great, what are we doing signing another player that's the same age as Rafinha? That means that both players will age at the same time. And we're going to need to replace 2 players at the same time rather than bringing someone younger who can grow and develop while Rafinha is the starter. And then when Rafinha's old, that younger player can take over. Either way I look at it, I think this is a bad deal. Maybe I'm missing something. You let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. All right, let's look at the comments. And then we are going to talk about Bastoni, Alessandro Bastoni, because Barcelona pulling out of that deal. Let's see. Raul Davidson says, I really, really feel sorry for Lopez. I wish him a very quick recovery from his injury. Keep up the good work, Bo. God bless you at Biscarsa. Thank you, my friend. God bless you. And yes, I also wish that speedy recovery for Fermin Lopez. And Mohamed Jabate says, hi, Mo. I'm Jabate Mohamed from Conakry, Guinea. Excuse me. I've been following you for a very long time now. Thank you very much for your good work. No, thank you, my friend, for following the channel and for watching the podcast. Blaurana X says, dude, what's up? So, Hamza Abdel Karim got called up for Egypt. I can imagine if this dude scores 1 goal, Barca will have to immediately give him a permanent deal because the phones will ring. Yeah. If Barcelona want to keep Hamza Abdel Karim, they better activate that option quickly. I mean, I imagine the contract is until June 30th, so Barcelona will have till June 30th anyway to activate that option. But if Barcelona let that contract expire and the option expire with it, and then they try to go and negotiate fresh, and Hamza just had an amazing World Cup, then yeah, that's gonna be a problem. Mike says, "Hey Mo, previous video you said you would have to get Barcola. You would love to get Barcola as left winger. Then where would you play Rafinha? Because we're not benching Rafinha, and Barcola wants to be a starter. Would you move Rafinha too?" That's a good question. That's a good question. And I don't think you necessarily need to move him. I think you could have the two alternating based on the kind of match, right? Because the two of them are very different players, right? Rafinha thrives in space, and you can have that, you can use that to matches where you're gonna have space or you want to exploit spaces. And Barcola is someone more that can unlock defenses with his movements, with his dribbling. So then you can use Barcola in those matches, right? Also, you could technically move Rafinha to the attacking mid, but I don't think you need to. I think you can use the two of them based on what kind of match you're anticipating. Plus, if Rooney Bardghji goes out on loan, that means that Lamine will not have a substitute. And that's when Rafinha could also come in and, have Barcola and Rafinha alternate on the left wing. And when Lamine needs rest, you can have Rafinha and Barcola play together. Rafinha on the right and Barcola on the left. So you could kind of do it that way. Plus, look, this is Barca, right? The whole point of being one of the best clubs and wanting to continue to be one of the best clubs and be able to win anything is that we want the best players. And if Barcola comes and he benches Rafinha because he's better, so be it, right? Because at the end of the day, isn't that what you want? Don't you want better and better and better players? Right? And if you lose your spot because another player is better than you, then you need to step your game up. And if you can't, well, you can't, right? I'm not just going to have someone stay a starter just because, well, that's his position. No, if someone better comes along, you need to step away, right? This is not a charity. This is not a nonprofit. This is a club, one of the biggest clubs ever. And we want to be competitive and we want to win Champions Leagues. And that means having the best players in the best position and their best position. If that means someone getting benched, well, someone's going to get benched. Everybody is going to get, half of the team is going to be benched, right? Can't play all 26 players. Let's see. Mike Valencia says, "Hey, Mo, I got charged import fees for international goods. Paying extra money just to get the kid aside from shipping is ridiculous." Yeah, it really is. It really is. Lorenzo says, "Another season without a top-class defender would be criminal. We need to get rid of Araujo and Kunde while they are worth money and get two top-class defenders." I mean, to say another season without a top-class defender, it's pretty insulting to Cubarsí and Gerard Martin, who've had a wonderful season. Let's see. Arthur says Vlahovic for free is looking better by the day to get Barcola, but I think that flick effect with Joao Pedro could be great, but not for the money. I think Chelsea eventually will cede and not only cede, but I think Barcelona will be able to reduce the price. I know Chelsea's like, oh, he's not for sale, and if he is, it's 100 mil. He's not worth 100 mil, right? I mean, you talk about a player that's not going to play Champions League next season, a player that wants to leave, and a player who hasn't even made it to the World Cup. He's not worth 100 mil. I think if Barcelona play their cards right, they'll be able to reduce that price. Let's see. One more, and then we'll go back to the news. But Yawa says, I hope Yamal don't rush his recovery because he wants to play in the World Cup. He is 18 and have many World Cup to play. I wish he could just stay and enjoy his break while he recovers. So the plan with Yamal is Barcelona are in close contact with the Royal Spanish Football Federation to make sure the recovery goes well. And the plan is he will miss the first two matches. He's going to miss the matches against Saudi and against Cape Verde. And then the idea is for him to come back against Uruguay, which is the third match, if he's feeling well, if he's fully recovered. If not, he'll miss that match as well. But he's definitely missing the first two. So that's the plan, as to not what's called rush his return. But anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news. Let's talk about Alessandro Bastoni, because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are pulling out of this pursuit. They're definitely halting the pursuit of Alessandro Bastoni. Now, as you know, Bastoni is Deco's number one option to reinforce the center back position. For the longest time, Barcelona didn't think this was possible until Inter Milan were faced with their financial reality and their need to sell players. And that's when they decided to put him on the market, which, of course, Barcelona immediately pounced on this deal, reaching an agreement for Bastoni to come to Barcelona, pending, of course, negotiations with Inter Milan. Now, Inter Milan have always said they want 70 million from the beginning. Barcelona we're only willing to pay 50 to 55 mil. Now, despite reaching an agreement with Bastoni, Barcelona had halted or had delayed this operation because Deco needed to meet with Flick, right? Because, as you know, Flick had said, I'm not talking about the planning of the squad for next season until I've wrapped up La Liga. So that was pending. And then also Barcelona needed to figure out their center forward replacement. Who's it going to be? How much is it going to cost? How much would that leave us with to spend on Bastoni? Because Barcelona only have 150 million euros budget for this summer. Well, Flick has wrapped up La Liga title and has met with Deco several times to plan the summer transfer market in next season. And as I told you during yesterday's video, Flick wasn't too sure. He had doubts about this signing. He thought that maybe Bastoni wasn't the best fit for the style of play and the system. Now, today we found out the two reasons why Barcelona have now decided to completely pull out of this race. And well, the first one is the rise of Gerard Martin. You know, with the rise of Gerard Martin and how well he's been playing with Pau Cubarsí, Hansi Flick doesn't see the center back position as urgent. Doesn't mean there's no signing anyone or no, just doesn't see it as urgent as before. Before, Flick was like, I need a left-footed center back, period. Right? He asked for that in a winter transfer market. He wanted a left-footed center back. They brought him Cancelo, which is not a center back, but he wanted a left-footed center back. That was a priority for him. That was an urgency for him. With the rise of Gerard Martin, that's no longer the case, right? He doesn't any longer see this as an emergency. The second reason why Barcelona are pulling out of this is that Flick instead sees the number 9 as the number one priority. Lewandowski has announced he's leaving, and Barcelona are going to have to find someone that can put up those numbers. Someone that can put up 25, 30, 35, 40 goals per season. And Flick understands that a number 9 that can put up those numbers is going to cost a lot of money. And seeing that the center back position is not as urgent anymore because of Gerard Martin, and that the center forward position is a lot more urgent and will cost a lot of money, Flick now prefers that Barcelona spend their money on a center forward. So Barcelona are completely halting this operation because now they have a new priority. Now, this doesn't mean that Barcelona will not bring a center back at all. Instead, there's now another player that's becoming more attractive to Barcelona, given everything that I just told you. And well, that player is and I'll share the screen because I forgot to put a picture of him in my, is El Cuti Romero. Why El Cuti Romero? Because Tottenham are fighting for their lives. Well, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but they're fighting for, obviously, to avoid relegation. They have one match left. I think it's against Everton, if I'm not mistaken. They need to win or draw. Otherwise, they get relegated. And if they do get relegated, El Cuti Romero, who has a value of 60 million euros, would be able to leave Tottenham Hotspur for around 15 to 20 million euros because he does have an exit clause in his contract that would allow him to leave if Tottenham get relegated. So if that happens, El Cuti Romero could be a very good option because, of course, we're talking about a World Cup winner, plenty of experience, a leader, someone that can come and inject that experience and leadership into our backline like Bastoni can, but for a fraction of the price. So Cuti Romero, really good option to bring that experience and leadership that Bastoni would bring, but for much less, but of course, only if Tottenham get relegated. If not, he would cost 60 mil. We would be in the same boat, spending almost half of our budget on a center back, which is not a priority right now, when the main priority is the center forward. All right, so let's get back to the comment section. Of course, tell me, what do you think about Barcelona now completely freezing the pursuit of Bastoni, instead focusing completely on the center forward position? All right. Boom. Let's see. Pisca Michael says, I hate how the UAE deal isn't us getting backed by oil money or anything like that. It would be nice to be out of financial trouble through some kind of workaround to still be owned by our socios. I mean, sponsorship deal is different than, we're not selling a stake in the club. You know, the club is still owned by its socios. It will continue to be owned by its socios. It's just a sponsorship deal, right? And I don't think the UAE have done anything that would merit me thinking that it's not a good source of money. I mean, they definitely don't have the same track record, let's say, as someone like Saudi, right? No offense to any Saudis watching, right? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your government. So I don't know. I don't know if I fully agree with this point. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Right here. Alan says scored and assisted. Who scored and assisted? Oh my God. Can you just write like one comprehensive paragraph instead of 20 different comments? My goodness. Let's see. All right. Keba says, and tell me, how many goals did Fermin score this season? Who's Fermin? Fermin? Let's look at how many goals did Fermin score this season. Fermin Lopez. Let's put up his stats. Oh, got an ad. We don't want that. All right. Fermin. All competitions. Show. All right. Here we go. There we go. Fermin Lopez. Come on. Scroll. Fermin has scored 13 goals and provided 17 assists. So that is a 30-goal contribution in 48 matches. Not bad for an attacking mid. Not bad for an attacking mid. Which is more than Rashford's contribution, because Rashford has 14 and 14, so 28. Fermin has 30. Which says a lot. Because remember, as a winger, you should have more goals than an attacking mid, at least on paper, right? If that's the point you were trying to make. If not, let me know what exactly is the point you were trying to make. Roger says, hey, Mo, question. If we get rid of Mark Andreas Ter Stegen or Mark Andres, yeah, so Ter Stegen, sorry. Christensen, Ansu, Lewy plus the 150 mil we have to spend. Do you think we could have enough money for a striker, left winger, and a center back? Probably not. Because remember, what a center forward is going to cost most of that budget. Now, if Christensen and Lewy, well, Lewy is leaving for sure, but if Christensen ends up leaving, he would free up space on the wage bill to register players, but he would be leaving free. So there's no money. There's no cash coming in to spend on another player, right? The same with Lewy. Lewy's benefit from the benefit we get from him leaving is just the space he leaves on the wage bill to register other players. So there would be no income. Ansu, on the other hand, yes, you get income in the form of 11 million euros, which is not a lot. Plus, Ansu's 11 mil was already factored in. It's going to be factored into last year's budget, or the current year, sorry. As far as Ter Stegen, he's not looking to leave. But let's say we do somehow convince him that he needs to leave and we sell him. How much is Ter Stegen going to really bring you? 10 mil? You know, a goalkeeper that's been out for so long due to injury. You know what I mean? Spooky says, Mo, would you take Darwin Nunez on a free transfer? No, I would not. Let's see. Desakapala says, what do you think Deco will do about Ter Stegen? Nothing. Barcelona is not, he wants to stay, and Barcelona are not willing to push him out. So the only way would be for Ter Stegen to agree to leave on his own. And Funk Frank said it before, and I'll say it again. Barcelona ain't going to sign anyone that could change our UCL fortunes. The sporting department and Laporta are a bunch of clowns. Well, we don't know that yet, right? Summer transfer market is still a month away. We don't know that yet. And let's see. Epico. Or is it Epico by? I don't know. I think he did really well. I'm talking about Rashford, considering this his first. Okay. I've seen this comment a lot on social media. What is it with this first season? Again, first season, he's a world-class player. He's 29 years old. He's in his prime. He has Champions League experience, Premier League experience, English international. What the fuck are we talking about first season? Where are people coming up with this bullshit? Are you fucking kidding me? First season? That's not a fucking excuse. That's an excuse for someone like Rooney Bardghji, who's coming from, which league is it? Danish league? From the Danish league, and who's only 19 years old. That's a good excuse for him. That's a good excuse if someone who comes from Brazil or, I don't know. But for someone who's spent his whole life in the Premier, that's not a fucking excuse. What are we doing here? Could someone explain to me where's this coming from? And I'm not taking this against you because I've seen this a lot. Like I've seen this. People are saying this all over social media, Instagram posts, Twitter. It's his first season. What the fuck are you talking about? It's his first season. Y'all acting like he's an 18-year-old kid who just came from an inferior league. Talk about Marcus fucking Rashford. Lewy came and his first season was Pichichi at 34. No one was like, oh, it's Lewy's first. My God, I'm mind blown when I see that shit. Mind blown. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news before I come up across more mind blowing shit. But let's talk about Jesse Bisiwu, because we do have an update. Now, if you don't know who Jesse Bisiwu is, we've talked about him on the channel a lot. 18 years old, left winger, fast, incredible dribbling, 1v1, great shot, goal scoring ability, They compare him to Dembele because he's pretty much a very similar profile to him. In other words, an incredibly promising player that Barcelona have been after for quite some time. Now, Bisiwu currently plays for NXT Club, which is the reserve team of Club Brugge. In other words, it's like the Barca Athletic of Club Brugge. And he has a contract until 2027. And Club Brugge have done everything they can to try to renew him. But he has said, no, thank you. I won't renew. They've even went as far as, punishing him, putting him in the stands, not playing him, not giving him minutes. And despite all of that, the player has maintained his position that he doesn't want to renew with Club Brugge. Now, Barcelona have been tracking this youngster for a very long time. In fact, Deco has even traveled to Belgium to meet with him in person and to meet with his entourage. And Barcelona tried to sign him in the winter, but Club Brugge were asking for too much money. So instead, they decided to try to sign him this summer. Now, the update is that Barcelona's first offer has been officially rejected by Club Brugge because they think it is too low for what this player represents. So that's the update. Barcelona still after Bisiwu, but their first offer has been rejected, which will be interesting to see. What will Barcelona do? Are they going to make a second offer with higher money, or are they going to wait? I honestly would wait. Bisiwu has made it very clear he doesn't want to renew with Club Brugge, and he's made it clear he wants to come to Barca. So if I was Deco, I'll be like, all right, Club Brugge, that's cool. See you next summer. Oh, wait, his contract expires next summer. I guess I'll be taking him for free. So you think my offer is low right now? Just wait until my next year's offer, which will be €0. So that's the update. We'll see how Barcelona react to this, but I think it's pretty funny that Club Brugge think they have the power to negotiate for a player who has told them he's not going to renew, and he's maintained that position despite them completely freezing him out of the team. Obviously, you're not changing his opinion. He's not renewing. So where do you think you can get that, the balls to say, oh, no, that's too low. We want more. Anyways, that's the update about Bisiwu. Hopefully, Barcelona can secure this deal sooner rather than later. But if not, honestly, I would just wait until next summer and sign him on a free. Let's see. McBarca says, isn't Bastoni about to join Real Madrid? This is not a good sign. Mourinho thrives on the players who hate us. Not that I'm aware of. As far as I know, Bastoni is only considering two options, either come to Barca or stay at Inter. So if he doesn't come to Barca, my understanding is that he would want to stay in Inter, unless someone changed that I'm not aware of. All right, let's see. Barca Culture says Bastoni is not worth 70 mil. I wouldn't pay any more than 50. No, I agree. It's not worth more than 70 mil, and that's why Barcelona are completely freezing this, because they're like, all right, he's not worth 70, and they're insisting on the 70. Plus, even if he was worth it, that's not really a priority anymore. So why are we going to blow half of our budget when we need to bring a center forward first, who most likely going to take up most of our budget? Joel says, I'm totally happy with that. Sonny's way slower and too expensive. Senesi or Romero, if Spurs go down, is better. So again, I've said this a million times. Senesi not looking to leave the Premier. In fact, he's already reached an agreement to join Tottenham Hotspur. Manuel says Barca is in shambles when it comes to signing. We will end up signing no this coming season again. What do you mean again? We've been signing players every season. Let's see. Kepa says, no, Mo, that message wasn't for you. Gotcha. Okay. JBJ says they must get Mickey or it's going to be a mistake. Martin is good, but competition is necessary, except they rely on Cortés. Well, look, there's Cortés, Araujo staying, and of course, they're looking to renew Christensen. So technically, right there, we have 5 center backs. Not to mention that Eric Garcias also can play a center back. So that puts us at 6. So you can see why Flick is not in a hurry to bring a 7th center back. And then if you want to count Koundé, technically it would be 7 center backs, and Bastoni would be the 8th. So again, you could see why Flick would rather us spend most of our budget on a center forward rather than bring a seventh or an eighth center back. Let's see. That Rebel Pilot says, if Girona get relegated, how are we going to get rid of Ter Stegen? The only Barcelona-based club he could probably go to is Espanyol, and they definitely don't want anything to do with us. We probably won't. We're probably going to be stuck with Ter Stegen. That's probably what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And Obase Leonon says, good evening, Mo. I don't know how to always follow the live broadcast. Well, it's on every Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, usually around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's usually when I start it. And Kirby says, hey, Mo, you should come to Trinidad, but who do you like for that ST position? Dude, I would love to go to Trinidad. I love the Caribbean. But who do I prefer for the striker position? Honestly, I think the Joao Pedro option is a really good one. If we could reduce, the asking price and convince Chelsea to let him go, I would like that. And Stefan says, check out DeMarco stats. He is a fullback. All right, let's see. Let's look at DeMarco stats. DeMarco. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Right here. Federico DeMarco. Let's see. Let's look at his stats. Let's do full season. Wait, not full season. I meant all competitions. All right. Let's share this screen. All right. DeMarco has 6 goals and 18 assists. That's 24 goal contribution in 34 matches. That's, oh wait, sorry. Is that, no, that's just in a Serie A. Wait, did he only play in a Serie A? Did he not play in a cup? I guess so, right? Yeah, because I have all competitions. There we go. I don't know why it was showing like that. Okay. 7 goals, 18 assists. There you go. That's the complete stat. So that is, that's just one more goal, which is in the Champions League. I mean, it's a goal in the Champions League. I'm not taking anything away. So that is a 25 goal contribution in 46 matches. That is pretty good for a fullback. That is very good for a fullback. Interesting. But of course, the left back is not something that Barcelona looking for in the market because the idea is to keep Joao Cancelo alongside Balde. But yeah, that is a pretty impressive, number. Let's see. Jeff says, hi, Mo. What are your thoughts on Ratiu, the right back from Rayo Vallecano? And do you think it's time for Koundé to leave this summer? So with Ratiu he is being considered. I don't know if that's what Barcelona needs. I think Ratiu is an incredible La Liga fullback. But is he a Champions League fullback? That's where my problem lies, right? I think he would do amazing in La Liga. But I don't know if he would do amazing in the Champions League, right? Plus, I think in the right back, I really do think that Eric should start. I don't even think we need to be looking. We can have Eric Garcia to start and Koundé be the sub. And that hopefully can put pressure on Koundé to get his old form back. Because when previous seasons, Koundé was incredible. This season, not so much. In fact, he's been terrible. Now, is it time for Koundé to leave this summer? I mean, if a big offer comes for him, yeah, I would be okay with that. 60 mil plus. But would I actively be looking to get rid of him? No. I think we could have Eric start and Koundé be a sub. And if this next season Koundé is still not stepping it up, then yeah, next summer for sure push him out. This season I'd be okay with him leaving for a good amount. I wouldn't be like push him out at all costs, right? But if by next summer he still hasn't improved despite being a sub, then yeah, push him out at all costs. Earl says getting a dangerous left back would allow Barca to spend less on a striker. I I don't know if that's true because we need a striker. We need a striker. It doesn't matter how good the left backs are or full backs are. We still need a striker. And a club like Barca needs to have a world class striker. And then once that's secured, we can look at, okay, how much money we have left? Who can we spend it on? Well, anyways, that is all. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the 1 hour mark. I don't want to prolong this anymore. I don't want to prolong your suffering of you sitting there listening to me yap. But that is all. That is all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. It really, really helps the channel. It prompts the YouTube algorithm to recommend the channel to people who've never seen it. If you want to let me know your thoughts and you're watching this after it ended, drop a comment. And if you're not subscribed yet, tell you waiting for. Hit that subscribe button. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And as always, peace, guys.